Africa, hello world. You're welcome to the only show that brings you happenings in the world of diplomacy and international relations, diplomatic affairs. My name is Harriet Nate, and today we are coming to you all the way from Durban, South Africa. It's been quite an experience. So far, so good. It's been great. We are meeting a lot of people. We are also being exposed to the various initiatives that are in place when it comes to tourism in South Africa, tourism on the rest of the African continent. I have a gentleman here with me, and he holds a very big position in South Africa when it comes to tourism. He's one of the drivers for this brilliant initiative. I am eager to learn more about his office and what he does, and especially we will talk about Africa's Travel Indaba 2023. You're welcome to Diplomatic Affairs, sir.
Thank you for having me. It's
How
such
are
a pleasure.
you?
No, it's awesome. It's a beautiful day to be in Durban. Hot, sunny weather.
Brilliant. The weather is beautiful. Yesterday was pouring. A day before yesterday was pouring as well.
And you smiled and then it opened up.
It
so,
did.
Yeah,
It
no,
did.
we're loving it.
It did. You have a beautiful city. It appears the whole world is in Durban.
Indeed. And
Let's talk about Africa's Travel Indaba 2023.
So I love the fact that you've got it so well. It's Africa's Travel Indaba. South Africa is the host, but this platform belongs to Africa. We have about 21 countries represented here today.
21
countries out of the 54 in the continent are represented under one roof today. Ideally, what you should be having is 54 countries.
Right.
Because then it really truly becomes Africa's travel.
African initiative.
Because what we do as South African tourism, we are a conduit between ourselves and our brothers all over the continent, where we're saying, let's invite the world to Africa for Africa to see what the continent has to offer. So we've got 21 this year, and ideally next year we should be looking at getting the outstanding countries to make it 54.
I'm sure we can get all 54 countries, in Durban. This has been happening every year. So I understand 2 years ago, this wasn't possible because of COVID. How was that like for you?
I think what COVID really did to us as a country is it allowed us to stop and reflect. And in our reflection, we then adopted what we call our tourism recovery strategy. And we decided we are going to work everything outwards. And we were going to focus on our domestic tourism, look at the region, which is the continent, as well as international. Now, when it comes to Indaba, we opened up in 2021. We had our first Indaba post-COVID.
That was the main, after COVID?
After COVID. So as you can imagine, it was still fairly, post-COVID. So last year we really had a good in Indaba, but this is even more awesome because now the number of countries has grown, the number of exhibitors has grown. Matter of fact, ourselves as South African Tourism West Africa, we are hosting 10 people from the two associations in Nigeria and Ghana. But most importantly, you have about 160 tour operators and travel agents from both Ghana and Nigeria that have come to this show to come and explore the opportunities for themselves.
160 exhibitions, exhibitors gathered here in Durban.
No. Travel agents and tour operators.
So this is just for the travel operators. Yes, 160 of them from Nigeria and Ghana.
Exhibitors under one roof that you've seen throughout, we look just over 1,000 exhibitors, which is a combination of hotels, guest houses, experiences, the restaurants, everything that you find within the tourism value chain is under this roof. And it's really true testament that says when you come to Travel Indaba, you'll find everything within the tourism value chain. Whether you're looking for an experience in the Kruger, it's right here. 5-star hotels that are here. You are looking for the various provinces just across from us.
Right.
This is the province of Gauteng. And as you can see around them, they've brought all their premium products from Gauteng. Anything that you're looking for in the tourism space in South Africa is right here.
Wow. You mentioned that this is a recovery strategy for South Africa. when we talk about Africa, Africa is so organic in terms of tourism.
Yeah.
There is so much that we can offer in terms of tourism. If we are able to get our arts right, that could become like a very big, revenue source for the African continent.
Yes.
What can we learn from each other?
I think the biggest opportunity that exists is collaboration. So, for example, one of the most amazing things that has happened in the past 2 years is Ghana Tourism has collaborated now with Gauteng Tourism Authority. So there's an exchange of tourism between the two countries. And what I'm sure as a Ghanaian, what you've seen around December when you've got the Afro Nations and all those activities, a lot more South Africans are coming into Ghana.
Right.
And on the other side, through the initiatives that we do as South African tourism, we are seeing a lot more Ghanaians coming into South Africa. Matter of fact, just something positive to share with you. Through the very positive relationship we have with the mission in Accra, led by Her Excellency Jeanette Grace Mason, we worked so well in the past financial year that our target was to bring 10,000 Ghanaians to South Africa. But we surpassed that and we got up just under 15,000 Ghanaians visiting South Africa in the past year, contributing just under 400 million into the economy of South Africa.
Right.
Now we want to double that. And the only way we're going to double that is to make sure that Ghanaians are coming to South Africa and having a good experience, going back, sharing the experiences with other Ghanaians, and therefore having a ripple effect of a lot more people coming for families. Matter of fact, we've got summer on the door. So I'm looking forward to a lot of Ghanaians seeing this interview and booking their summer holidays to come to South Africa.
Trust me, you have the entire world watching you on this platform. That will happen. Let's talk about the challenges. I sat in the meeting or the business forum, or let me say the panel, which featured the tourism minister as well. I believe we will have the opportunity to engage her to also discuss, a few things around her area. I want us to talk about the challenges. From where you sit, what do you see as some of the challenges? Even though you've talked about collaboration, exchanging ideas and best practices, what are the challenges?
I think so. In our world, the two big challenges we have, it's around issues of access, it's around issues of safety and security. When we talk access, we're talking specifically around visa.
I was just coming to that.
Now, notwithstanding the fact that South Africa has given the visa waiver to Ghana.
Right.
And I think my High Commissioner would have talked about this quite a lot.
We will delve into that, hopefully, with Her Excellency Grace Janet Mason. But that is a huge obstacle. I believe if we are able to work on the visa waiver agreements between the two countries, that is Ghana and South Africa, or South Africa and Ghana, then we could be making more money as you plan on doubling the amounts you made last year. So how can we resolve this issue? From where you sit, again, I will engage the appropriate officers as well.
So from the information we have is that South Africa has granted the waiver. It has to be reciprocated. Obviously, it's going through the normal channels within the Ghanaian authorities for the reciprocation. And I think my Excellency will be able to tell you a lot more around that. Now, from our perspective and on our experience, I can give you examples of where it has worked. We gave a visa waiver to Angola. Angolan numbers tripled. This year in January, South Africa gave a 90-day visa waiver to Kenyans coming to South Africa.
Right.
We've seen
tremendous
110% increase in the Ghanaian travel purely within the 3 months.
Kenya.
I mean Kenya, sorry.
Right.
Kenya,
Let's not get this wrong, because Ghana, we still have a problem. So
no, in Kenya. So it's there. So the evidence is there. And we are very big advocates and proponents of saying, Ghanaians, the research tells us they're very calm, they're very relaxed people. I've been there, I love Ghana. I spend every second to the third month I'm in Ghana. So I'm also one of the people that lobbies for this to come to life, because we want to see a lot more Ghanaians. We want to see Ghanaians come to South Africa for sport, music, fashion, holidays with their families, business, polo. I mean, we have an existing relationship, as an example, with the Accra Polo Club. And we want the entire Accra Polo Club community to be having their summer holidays in South Africa. So we need to remove the obstacles.
Right.
That, an element that also adds onto that. SAA now flies twice out of Ghana.
Right, direct
on
flights.
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Exactly.
But if you increase the demand, SAA will go back to flying every day.
Yeah, possibly.
Which therefore means you could come in and out, in on a Friday, out on a Saturday or a Sunday. So these are some of the things that are really affecting the supply and the demand side of tourism.
Right, so access was one of the things you mentioned.
Yes.
The other one will be
Safety and security.
Safety and security.
And I say this because as SA Tourism, we do continuous consumer research, particularly around the markets where we operate, to get a sense of what is the barriers that are, affecting people's decisions to visit us as a country. And one of those, matter of fact, in Ghana, I'll use Ghana as an example, even though this is a global platform. Ghanaians have highlighted their personal safety and security as one of the major reasons why they might not be wanting to visit South Africa. And I think earlier on you were listening to the minister when she was talking about the tourism safety initiative. It's quite a big thing to us because tourism is a very important sector. It's in the top 10 contributor to our GDP. And, every 10 tourists that come to this country are creating between 3 to 5 jobs. So it is very important for us. And those initiatives are going a long way to reassure Ghanaians that when you visit South Africa, your personal safety is definitely considered throughout the whole value chain, whether it's the airline, whether it's the shuttle services, the e-hailing services through either Uber or Bolt, or whichever ones that you're using, the hotels themselves, as well as the tourist experiences. And we've got bodies that are responsible for the quality assurance to make sure that not only are you having a quality assured experience, but it's also a safe one. But I think what you'll start seeing a lot more is us communicating that. But at the same time, it's not really policing that is, in your face, because you don't want to be feeling like you've got these people with all these big weapons that are walking behind you, because you want to have the sense of knowing that you are safe in an environment, but at the same time, the priorities for you to enjoy your experience. So those are some of the things that we're doing to make sure that we can guarantee people's safe holiday experiences.
I'm glad that you were able to also touch on some of the solutions to some of these challenges. It's final. I mean, we are wrapping up though. Is tourism the game changer for Africa?
I definitely think so, because if you look at it, it's through tourism that we get to learn through each other's cultures. We get to build relationships. But I think for me, tourism is the biggest driver to social cohesion. Because once you come into my space and you get to learn about me, eat my food, dance with me, you know me. And there's a relationship that is built. When I come to your home, you reciprocate. And what then happens is a lifelong relationship. It's only through the movement of people, the immersion of ourselves into each other's cultures and experiences, that we will get to understand and deal with the perceptions. Because everything that exists now is based on perceptions and it's not on reality. Because reality is only when you've gone to the place and immersed yourself. You've now been to Durban, you've seen the warmth of the KwaZulu-Natal people, you've seen the diversity that South Africa has to offer. You'll go back home and share that personal experience, and then your friends will want to come and experience the same thing. And the perceptions that they had of South Africa will possibly change. That is the power of tourism.
What is that one thing that you expect tourists to take with them?
The one thing about that
from Africa's Travel Indaba
is to know that at Africa's Travel Indaba, you are going to meet Africans, and Africans will give you an experience that you'll take with you, that the you that came will never be the same you that left the country. You'll be inspired and you'll come back and inspire others.
You will be inspired and come back and certainly inspire others. Right, Tekiso, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It's been a great, an amazing experience so far. I've never seen anything like this. I think this actually beats my expectations.
Oh, wow.
And so far, so good. I'll give it to you guys for doing a wonderful job for South Africa and the entire African continent.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Right, you have our support.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you.
Our support. Right, people, so this has been another session of Diplomatic Affairs. We are not done yet. I'm sure we will have the opportunity to speak with the Minister for Tourism to learn more about some of the challenges and also learn more about the solutions that we would have to actually put in place to counter these challenges. And of course, why this is so important for not just South Africa, but the entire African continent. This is a wonderful initiative, and I believe Africa is so proud. I couldn't have been any prouder than today when I watched, the various vibrant activities that took place, in the early hours of the day, the cultures, the dancing, the messages. The messages actually are thought-provoking. It means that Africa is possible, and we can do it if we are committed to changing the narrative and, of course, being a key player in the world. The show is Diplomatic Affairs, and we are coming to you all the way from Durban, South Africa. I'll see you on the other side.
Trasaco Estates, home to Accra's most beautiful and luxurious homes, presents its newest addition, Trasaco Springs, a premium master planned community of service plots surrounded by an exhaustive list of amenities. The gated community of Tema to Accra Motorway presents you the finest opportunity to own a land that suits your preferred size, budget, and payment terms. Trasaco Springs is open to you for development. Our on-site sales executives are ready. Call
I want to lead the IPCC, which is the UN body advising the international community from a scientific point of view about everything related to climate change. Why is climate change happening? What are the causes of climate change? What are the possible impacts? But most importantly, what are the elements of solutions? And if I want to lead the IPCC, I need to be elected first chair of IPCC. The election takes place at the end of July in Nairobi this year. It's a one country, one vote election, so the vote of Ghana is very important.
How many countries are we looking at here?
Well, it's 195 country officially, but in practice it's 150 and 160 countries really coming to Nairobi, I hope. So I need at least 81 votes, one half plus one, and the vote of Ghana, I hope, will be one of them, and as well as many others in Africa and elsewhere. And then the other reason is that Ghana is now chairing the so-called Climate Vulnerable Forum, CVF, which is a coalition of 58 countries, the most vulnerable countries in terms of climate change vulnerability, including Ghana, of course. And I hope, if I convince Ghana to vote for me to become IPCC chair, I hope there will be some entrainment of other members of the CVF coalition. And so I hope it will help my election. The third reason I'm visiting Ghana is I think the IPCC chair candidate and the IPCC chair needs to have his feet or her feet, if it's a woman, on the ground and to be in contact with the reality of climate change impacts, of concerns about climate change. And this is why when I meet people in the country I visit, I ask them what their concerns are. What are the main issues in that particular country? What are your dreams and hopes about the next cycle for IPCC? And I was so happy to meet today the authorities in Ghana, also a young member of the civil society, Nekayat, in Ghana, and I am inspired by all I heard to do in the best possible way in my job as IPCC chair, if I'm elected.
You were the vice chair for the IPCC between 2008 to 2015. Why do you want to be elected as the chair, spearheading the activities of the IPCC?
Well, it would be, to put my long experience around climate change. I've been working on climate change for more than 40 years as a scientist, as a professor in a university in Belgium. I'm supported by the Belgian government for this candidacy. I have also worked for more than 30 years in the framework of the COP process, the Conference of the Parties of the Climate Convention. I have attended all COPs since COP 1, except 2. I only missed 2 of them. I was an advisor in the Belgian delegation for most of those COPs, in the European delegation for some of them, and once in a G77 country delegation because I was an advisor to Fiji for COP23. Fiji is a member of the Climate Vulnerable Forum, by the way, so I am very aware also of the other points of view than just the point of view of developed countries around the climate issue. I'm very aware of the climate justice aspects that needs to be taken into account in this. And if I want to become IPCC chair, is to put that long experience at the service of the international community in an even more efficient way than when I was vice chair. Of course, vice chair is very interesting, and it was really interesting to be vice chair. But if I'm the chair, I'll have even more influence and possibilities to put my energy, my passion, and my experience to the service of the international community, and most importantly, the most vulnerable to climate change.
Are we on a suicide mission as humans?
Well,
I'm sure you know what I mean by that.
I know what you mean, and I really hope we're not on a suicide mission, but I mean, the present trajectories really don't look good. So I don't think it's a conscious suicide mission. But if we stay on the present track in terms of global emissions and global efforts to adapt to the part of climate change which is there already, we will have very severe impacts both on human life and the other forms of life on the planet. And we really need to be much more respectful of this objective of the Paris Agreement to limit the warming below 1.5 degrees C. This is what it means, above the pre-industrial temperature. We are at 1.1 already now.
Very close.
Very close. You know, it's a little bit like a fever. For the human body, our normal temperature is 37
right.
Celsius. 1.1, if you compare that to a fever for human body, it's 38.1. When you are 38.1, you are starting to feel really bad. Maybe you're still standing, but it's becoming very tiring and difficult. 1.5, if you add 1.5 to 37, that's 38.5. It's starting to be, you're starting to be very sick. And if you go above 38.5 for a fever, you feel really bad. Well, for the planet, it's the same. If we were going above 1.5, the impacts of climate change would really become much more severe in terms of droughts, heat waves, sea level rise, etc., etc. And we really need much more action, much more political will to reduce emissions, to adapt more, to fund much more the efforts, particularly in developing countries around adaptation, and also we need money for compensating loss and damages, because unfortunately, because we have not done enough in terms of mitigation in developed countries mostly, we have not done enough in terms of adaptation everywhere. Well, loss and damages are starting to be seen more and more, and they cost a lot of money, and they need to be compensated. So that's a very important issue that is at the heart of the climate negotiations, that will be at the heart of the climate negotiations in the coming years. And the IPCC has to provide the best scientific information to help policymakers to do much more around climate.
Right. Do you think, before I let go of you, do you think your election as the chair of the IPCC would see governments work more around climate policies?
But, I'm not naive. I don't think just one person, even if he or she is the chair of IPCC, will have the same effect as a magical wand in the world,
to turn things around,
changing everything positively. But still, I promise, I will put all my passion and energy to be the voice of climate, the only party which cannot speak in the climate negotiations, to be the voice of climate science, because I think that if this voice is better heard by policymakers, decision makers, the people who have money in the world, the banks, the multilateral institutions, that things might change for the better a little faster. That's really what I'm hoping for.
You mentioned the impacts being felt already. Let's talk about food insecurity, which is already a problem in our part of the world. When I say our part of the world, I'm talking about Africa. Not just Africa, but let me say around the world. We've seen the results of the Russia-Ukraine, war, the impacts globally. Let's talk about the socio-economic impacts of climate change. How serious is this? Because usually when the conversation comes up, people think, oh, you know what, it's something that I can't relate to it now. Maybe later it can wait. But it's very important and it has to be tackled as soon as possible. Let's talk about the socio-economic impacts of climate change.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned food security. It's about 800 million people today who don't have enough food every day to feed their family. It's a shame. And climate change is making the improvement to that situation more difficult because it's affecting food production itself through droughts, floods, heat waves, etc. So indeed, food security is one of the aspects through which the socio-economic impacts of climate change are being felt in the world by hundreds of millions of people. But the same could be said for sea level rise. Sea levels are increasing. They have increased by 20 centimeters already over the last 100 years. They will unfortunately increase still by another half meter at least towards the end of this century, beginning of the next century, and maybe more. This will affect the lives of hundreds of millions of people in coastal regions in the world, including, of course, coastal regions of Africa. And indeed, the social-economic aspect, the socio-economic aspects of the impacts of climate change are key. And we need to mainstream climate action in the broader context of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So these are the colors of each of the 17 SDGs, the Agenda 2030. The first goal is the elimination of poverty.
Right.
A very basic socio-economic issue, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm convinced that in the future the IPCC needs to integrate better, and climate action in general need to integrate better its work on climate with the other issues, the other socio-economic issues in particular, such as eliminating poverty, eliminating hunger, ensuring the well-being and good health for everybody, etc. If we do that, and if we stop looking at climate change on Monday, jobs on Tuesday, poverty on Wednesday, and biodiversity on Thursday, and if we break the silos, we will find all the synergies that exist between the solutions to all those different problems, and we will be able to do much more in each of those areas, each of the 17 areas there, than if we continue to look at one issue at a time every different day.
Lastly, let's talk about the people you are contesting with. Who are the other people you are contesting with?
Well, at the moment, there are three other candidates.
Three
other candidates. I'm the only candidate from the EU.
Right.
There's a candidate from the UK. There's a candidate from South Africa. There's a candidate from Brazil. I'm the only climate scientist among those four. The other three are good candidates as well. But I think I'm the one with the broadest experience in terms of broad knowledge on climate science in a very general way, and the best knowledge of the COP process as well, because I have been attending all the COPs since the beginning of their existence, and I think this is useful in terms of being at the science policy interface to serve the international community, and I think that's what the IPCC needs to do.
Speaking at a press briefing of the joint working visit to Ghana by the BENELUX delegation on Monday, June 5th, The minister acknowledged the contribution of the BENELUX country to peace and security in the Sahel and the West African sub-region. The minister, together with the Minister for National Security, Albert Kandapar, further briefed guests on the security situation in the region and measures being taken by member states of the Accra Initiative.
The Minister for National Security and I briefed our guests on the security situation in the region and measures being taken by member states of the Accra Initiative, as well as the level of ECOWAS and AU to address terrorism and violent extremist activities in the sub-region to restore normalcy to the affected countries. The ministers pledged their support to the Accra Initiative in that regard, and the two sides also agreed to work together at the multilateral level to address the challenges such as food insecurity, climate change, among others, that confronts the world today as a result of COVID-19. And also, we had discussions on migration and what needs to be done to ensure that we work as two sides on curbing illegal migration. Our discussions also focused on trade, and we acknowledge the large numbers of companies from the three countries doing business in Ghana and welcomed their contributions to strengthening the private sector in Ghana in job creation and to Ghana's socio-economic development in general.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs for the Kingdom of the Netherlands, His Excellency Wopke Hoekstra, says he firmly believes that this kind of sustainable and equal partnership is based on shared values and interests, and it is through this partnership that the challenges these countries face can be tackled. He again added that the Netherlands look forward to enhancing migration cooperations.
Ghana and the Netherlands share a special bond, as the Netherlands is Ghana's largest trading partner within the European Union and the biggest EU investor here in your country. We're also long-standing partners and friends. And we have embarked on a new phase in our relationship, transitioning from a relationship based on aid to one centering around trade. And this is in line with Ghana's vision, as the Minister has also articulated to me, of moving beyond aid to a more equitable and mutually beneficial partnership, as it should be. I firmly believe in this kind of sustainable and equal partnership based on shared values and shared interests. And it is through this partnership that we can tackle the challenges we face. And as the Minister said, we also very much look forward to enhancing our migration cooperation.
Minister for Foreign and European Affairs of Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, His Excellency Jean Alsabon, commended Ghana for always being on the right side each time there is a vote or resolution in the United Nations on the Russian-Ukraine war.
We had 4 votes, 4 resolutions in the UN in New York, and every time Ghana was on the right side. So thank you very much for this. And secondly, I want to explain, this is not a conventional war where 2 countries are fighting each other. It is an aggression of Russia against Ukraine. And this is very, very difficult from what we saw maybe conventionally if 2 countries are in a war. Here, there are not 2 countries in a war. There is one country that aggressed against all the rules of the UN Charter, a neighboring country called Ukraine. And the fight is not a fight against this country alone. It is a fight from Putin against democracy, against rule of law, against our values, values that we share here in Africa, in Ghana, and also in the European Union. And therefore, we have to do everything possible that very, very quickly we can come to a diplomatic solution. I know that we cannot say we will push a button and the war is over. We see no efforts from the Russian side to give a chance to peace, to at least a ceasefire and then to a negotiation.
With all said, the Ambassador and Special Envoy for the Sahel of the Kingdom of Belgium, His Excellency Bart de Groove, appreciated the minister for a warm welcome and looks forward to a prosperous partnership.
Already said, apart from, of course, also in the name of my country, thanking you, Minister, very warmly for your welcome and for the excellent discussions that we had, especially from my role as Special Envoy on the regional security situation and the role that Ghana is playing in this. Thank you very much.
The BENELUX Union is a political and economic partnership established on September 5, 1944, between three neighboring countries, namely Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg, with the aim of promoting cooperation and economic integration among its member states. The delegation is led by the Foreign Minister of Netherlands, which holds the presidency for the BENELUX in 2023. The BENELUX Union is on a 2-day joint working visit to Ghana and is scheduled to meet with the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo.
In previous seasons, you saw this.
You are not allowed to hawk or preach in commercial vehicles.
The perception in Ghana is abortion is illegal, and we don't follow up with the exceptions.
The existence of the customary marriage is no prerequisite
for the ordinance
marriage.
Yes. And now, are you ready for this?
Some people express the fact that they don't go on leave with pride.
Accumulated leave, like they term it, is illegal.
Because in Ghana we don't have enough lawyers, and the accused can apply for bail where he has no lawyer.
Knowing full well that you have an STI and you do not reveal that to the person and you have this sexual contact with the person, it is also part of domestic violence.
Join the Law Express panel for relevant, informative, and educative topics.
It is clear that if the court grants bail, it is the registrar of the court that has the power to deal with execution of the bail.
All matrimonial properties that are sold without the consent of the other party are actually null and void.
The President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, has commissioned 6 new envoys at the Jubilee House in Accra and charged them to familiarize themselves with the core mandate of the Ghana Cares About Temper program and other government policies to help secure foreign direct investment for the development of the country. The envoys were the High Commissioner to Australia, Samuel Yao Kuma, Ambassador to Czech Republic, Doris Ajo Denyo-Brisi, Ambassador to Liberia, Kingsford Amwakon, Ambassador to Kuwait, Mohammed Habib, Ambassador to Libya, Mark Michael Enche, and Ambassador to Niger, Alex Redu Edu. As part of the FICAC Regional Conference for Honorary Consuls on the African continent, some members of the Honorary Consuls on the African continent, in partnership with the Forestry Directorate of the University of Ghana, Legon, planted some trees on the University of Ghana campus. The activity that saw the Honorary Consuls planted 5 baobab trees to signify peace. The trees were planted by the President of FICAC, who doubles as the Honorary Consul of the Philippines in Thessaloniki, Greece, Nicolao K. Magaropoulo, Secretary General, FICAC, who also is the Consul of the Estonia in Tunisia, Jalil Braoui, Provost of the University of Ghana, Professor Julius Phobel, and Honorary Tessie Ekpunobi. The trees planted were watered and protected with wooden fence. The event was climaxed with an unveiling of a plaque which signifies the bond between Ghana and the World Federation of Consuls. Nicolao K. Magaropoulo is the president of FICAC.
Of the World Federation of Consuls in Ghana, there are many firsts. It is the first Pan-African conference we are having, and it is the first time that we have such an event of planting trees for peace. It's the trees of life, and life without peace, there cannot exist. There was a mention to Rotary. It is also a great organization working for peace, and I was happy also to hear about the programs that you are having about climate change and the environment, As you rightfully said, we have an agreement with the Prince Albert II Foundation for more than 10 years now, and we would be happy to work with you and other such institutions for these projects. So thank you all for this opportunity, and it will be the first but not the last of these events.
Dimitri Avram is the Dean of the Honorary Consular Corps for Ghana.
On the 10th of June, this is the day celebrated every year by the President of the Republic for a greener Ghana. So we have selected baobab trees, which represent the trees of life, and it is also our contribution to peace in the world. So we dedicate this small new park to the university.
The Provost of the University of Ghana, Professor Julius Phobel, also demonstrated his excitement for the exercise.
On behalf of the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, we want to say a big thank you for this gesture. We really appreciate it, and we promise to take good care of it. And so thank you so much, and we wish you the very best. Thank you.
Okay.
People of Gonjaland, tomorrow you shall see your prince. Prepare feast, great feast. Prepare my chamber. We would welcome a great prince. Heavens help me. Is this real?
Perhaps.
How did I get here? What's this I smell?
Perfume, my lord.
Perfume! But now, this beast is in finery, and you are his dinner.
I was only obeying.
By damning the heir to the throne, by thwarting one king for another, you traitor. How dare you! Less than an hour, and you kill an innocent soul? So is that how you want me to see you? For the first time in your life, this is what you want me to see? What were you expecting, sir? A prince! Or the very least, a man. But what I see is an inhumane monster not fit to wear this crown. I thought you would take the opportunity to, overcome your fate or change the stars. But no, you throw it away. How can I even embrace you as a son? Who wants your embrace, old man? And now, this goes for all of you. Anyone who dare goes against my will will meet quick end.
Run, Ismail, run!
Step away from the girl, cousin. There you go. Don't you dare call me cousin. I am your king. And you are behaving like a barbarian? Lay down your steel. You lay down yours. You attack a defenseless girl and an old man? Return your unstained dagger to its sheath. Not until I see it died in this greatest. He is claimed sanctuary at my feet. my presence has some effects. Oh, there you go. This is the man I was longing to see.
The emperor, the conqueror, the champion, the lion is here. Zobu, zobu, enyimba.
I am King Sitani. What is life? A smile, an illusion, a shadow, a fiction. Our greatest good is but small. For all of life is a dream, and even dreams are dreams.
This is the Afrocentric version of Life is a Dream. It's been performed in almost all stages in Europe. It's listed among the top 40 plays of all time. This is actually the first time it's been performed in Africa. And then Ghana is privileged to witness this. Just to say a big thanks to Her Excellency, Mrs. Samira Baumia. Thank you so much for accepting our invite. The Minister for Justice, thank you so much. Her Excellency, the Italian Ambassador to Ghana, thank you so much. Your Excellency, the German Ambassador to Ghana, thank you so much for being here. The Ambassador of Congo, Brazzaville, thank you so much. The Ambassador of Botswana, thank you so much. We are grateful. Nana, thank you so much for gracing this occasion. We are grateful to you. And I would always do this. Aside honoring my ambassadors and saying thank you, I would love to say a big thanks to our main sponsor, the chairman of MNC Group. Theater is extremely expensive. You don't know how much we spend to produce this. So for a businessman to decide to sponsor theater for us is a big deal. MNC, Michael Van Der Poel, thank you so much. I'm the chairman of MNC Group. Just to say, he came to compliment the efforts of the Embassy of Spain. They are our main sponsors, so I hand over the mic to the ambassador. Thank you.
This is really a team effort. I mean, the credit and all the glory must go to Latif and all the display of talent today. A big applause for them. We are just partners in this magical adventure. I must confess I have never ever seen so much display of talent, musicians, dancers, producers, actors. It's unbelievable. We're really honored to be able to do this, to partner with Ghanaian artists, with Ghanaian institutions. And I would like to mention that you must be wondering what this play is about. I would say that for us it's a reflection on the sense of life. It reflects on some values which are very important today, even more than in the 17th century when this play was first staged. Democracy, freedom, justice, education, these are values that Ghana, Spain, all of us are supporting, and I think they were also portrayed in this beautiful play. I would like to retain two sentences or two ideas from the play. One of them is whether awake or asleep, always strive for goodness. This is one of the messages. And then in the soliloquy by Tijani, in the original version is Segismundo, which is a very uncommon Spanish name. He says, and the actor today said it in a brilliant manner, what is life? Life is a dream, and dreams are but dreams. So keep this with you, and thank you so much for having joined us. Thank you.